Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, returning guest, Dr. Hans Utter, Utter. I think this will be our 24th episode. We've done so many different episodes on different subjects, but one of the main ones that we did was advanced Soviet research on cybernetics, biofield energetics, and cognitive restructuring. That was 8 episodes. And then also MK Ultra for the masses. Music is the weapon. Manson to the technocratic control state. That's another 8 episodes. We've done a bunch with Sean of Wake the Dead. So you can go back and look at those through my catalog or archive. But today will be part 2. If you're watching this on Rumble or X or Rockfin, you'll see the title here is Trump Derangement Syndrome, Psychopolitics in the Mass Mind. And Trump Derangement Syndrome, a symptom of a greater problem. And it's just like, since we did this show, some guy was on Rogan. I'll show the video. I guess that's a good intro video. I had to see what they're talking about from a real scientist, not a journalist like me. But this is after we did our show, by the way.
You know what? See, like a lot of people, like they were not aware of I think some of these aspects of it, right? Well, they probably were, but anyways.
But the actual the biology of it, like they're not keen, maybe the psychology, but it actually is a biological response, and they talk about it right here, so I'm going to play it.
The brain and the inflammation is what stops all the chemistry and why we develop anger and problems. I don't know if you saw the article, which is called Influence of Media on the Mental Health of America, which used to be called the Trump Derangement Syndrome, but I got so much backlash from having that title. People wouldn't read it because of the title. And it talks about how constant stress from the media, echo chambers, social media, reading all this bullshit, causes cortisol to go up.
No doubt.
And it shuts down a chemical that protects your brain called fractalkine. And then it starts dumping all this inflammation and causes loss of serotonin, so you become more depressed. It causes loss of melatonin, so you can't sleep. Generates another group of chemicals that induce depression. And
it essentially generates this response in your body that prepares itself for a fight that never takes place.
Correct.
And then you're always thinking you're about to get into some sort of a physical altercation with an armed enemy coming over the top of the hill.
Yeah, vigilant states, just like our army goes through. Constant stress.
Okay. So that's it, like a vigilant state, constant stress. Yeah.
Okay. So that's, what's very interesting, right? Is that there's so many angles, and I feel like, Hey Joe, that Jimi Hendrix song, Hey Joe, where are you going? I'm just kidding. Hook me up, man. I'm just kidding. This is important, right? There's so much. So they're giving one aspect of it, right? So this is actually, I would term as a polyvalent phenomena. There's multiple intersecting modalities and particular effects. Now, that chemical he mentioned, that's a brain chemical I've never heard of, but there's. So basically, some of the research say on doom scrolling can show that it literally shrinks the human brain. So Trump derangement syndrome could be seen as a type of, I would wonder if that is type of doom scrolling. People aren't familiar with that. Is basically obsessively researching things over and over again on the internet. But I think this is another level, because what he's saying, so you have this increased stress, you also rewire your brain, so you're attracted to the distortion, to the negativity, to the stress. You want to seek it out. So while you're seeking it out, you're getting like a pleasure response, right? And that's, you can think of people that say adrenaline, not junkies necessarily, but people that do, extreme sports, skydiving, things like that, but bungee jumping. But basically, okay, that's kind of the same thing, but this is in a different way, because you have the adrenaline gland, you have the adrenal, you have the production of adrenaline,
endorphins, all that stuff, right? So
but these are not bad. Adrenaline is great. Okay. It just doesn't have to go into stress, because stress is basically You have adrenaline, right? You say, I'm going to do a concert. I do live music. I played last night. What's going to happen? I don't know. So, but I'm not going to get stressed, but I'll feel some energy. I'll get a little bit ramped up. That's adrenaline. So all these things, but basically we have all of these studies that have been done that you have a constant cognitive overload. You have drop in IQ, increased stress, anxiety, and depression, exacerbating existing mental health issues. And then what he was talking about, it overstimulates the nervous system. So you have your cortisol, you have adrenaline, then you have mental and physical problems, you have sleep disturbances. And then the term, which is Oxford Word of the Year last year, brain rot. Okay. So this is brain rot. And here's what is really chilling about this. We're not talking about, we're not talking about the heroin junkie who's on the streets for 20, 30 years and they see his brain is shrunk. We're talking about people in a matter of years. I mean, a matter of 4 or 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, literally with brain scans, their brain is physically atrophying and shrinking. And this is empirically verified. So I'm just adding that on to what he was mentioning. And it's the term brain rot, obviously the definition, quote, the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as a result of overconsumption of material, now particularly online content, considered to be trivial or unchallenging. Now, notice how this is spun, that it's like, looking at stupid human jokes, or looking at, pet tricks, or I don't think that's not causing it. See, already we can see some of this disinformation. So they're spinning it towards watching really stupid videos that are funny. That's not what it is a stress hormone, this entire, literal, but the brain rot is the literal. Let's take that away to where you're actually having your brain is physically shrinking, and and it can cause literal insanity. So that's the psychophysical effect, and I'll leave it there. But I just wanted to add to what he's talking about. There's many other layers to it, and I do appreciate him. What's the name of the doctor?
Dr. Mark Gordon.
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate him bringing this up, because now, and I'll say this, and like I said, I'm not, my gosh, I'm not an MD. I do have a doctorate, but it's not in, I'll tune your instruments, but, but that being said, a lot of times in medicine, a lot of our science has become highly, highly specialized, right? So all I'm doing is amplifying that. It's, there is the adrenal thing, but we're looking at the, how basically the cerebral cortex is being affected. And it really, where it hits is the amygdala. It hits the amygdala of the brain. And this is, okay, it's another thing, but I would say if he's tied that into Trump derangement syndrome, then I'm all on board with it, because this is, it's documented in hard science, like not fake science, right, whatever, where they're showing the brain scans. And I looked up all these different studies, and people literally they have, well, whatever, rating scales they have for personality types, but people basically, withdraw, they go into this almost, manic, comatose / manic zombie robot phase. And so I'll leave it there, but go ahead.
No, it's incredible. There's just incredible things. So it's a scientific thing. This guy's talked about it, written papers about it, changes your brain functioning. This is another really funny TDS one. This is really incredible. This guy's kind of like a public jester, dresses up in funny clothes and asks people questions. But look at how serious this guy is, how much he hates Trump.
Biggest obstacle in life right now. My biggest obstacle in life? Trump. Trump, absolutely.
So do you wake up and think about him?
Yes, constantly, every day.
Do you go to sleep and think about him?
Yes, every day.
Are you in love with him?
I hate his guts.
What's your big
Yeah.
That is exactly what I'm talking about. This obsessive, repetitive, compulsive behavior. And here's the distinction though. I mean, is that so I'm just using heroin because opioid problem, but you're getting pleasure. They know they're getting pleasure from this negative overstimulation.
Yeah.
And this is exactly, this is exactly what is going on. But
did we show the people howling out in public last time? I don't remember.
Oh,
did we show that video? Let me see if I can pull it up.
And how about the White House forest breathing cry sessions? Is there any videos of that?
I don't know. I have this one though. Let's see if I can pull this one up. I don't know if we showed this last time. Let me see. Share screen. This is San Francisco. So people went out to go out and howl, just like do a cosmic like scream or something. Watch this. Did we show that last time? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yes, we did. We did.
Okay, I think we did. But still, that's like incredible. Beautiful background, by the way. San Francisco looks really nice. But yeah, so just craziness. Just like,
I appreciate that you brought up this aspect because I was sort of a different angle, but basically I didn't, because I don't have the medical background, I didn't want to tie it into TDS per se, but now I can. So there's all of this research. So this is Sharma et al. 2022, seeking negative information or individual factors such as loss of self-control or algorithmic systems which offer endless news feeds or outbreaks in crisis will ultimately lead to compulsive scrolling behavior. So this is where you just imagine that guy, like he thinks about Trump, he's going to pick up his phone. He's going to start scrolling, looking up stories, right? And so it is also linked to this whole other thing. And it is really, if this will explain, like I said, TDS is a very rich, real-time, fodder for analysis, man, because there's so many layers. And
it's been happening for a while though. Like this is something we've been dealing with for almost 10 years now, right? So it's like this needs to be studied. Like I've been in LA and had conversations with people on the street who were literally like shaking, like they're having a physical response to the situation. And it's like, whoa, this is really intense.
Yeah, well, and I initially, I just thought of the topic, when I emailed you, because I was in India, and it's like as I mentioned, I was in a border area in India, and I had to go to the police station to get registered, and and the door guy, because the hotel, it's pretty, not intense, but whatever. But he's like, "You American?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You like Trump?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, Trump's good." He's like, I love Trump. But if I had said, no, I like Biden, he may not have let me in the hotel. So I thought, wow,
right.
This is interesting. But to see, just to maybe backtrack, is to me, just the basic common sense analysis is like, well, people have a lot of trauma, depression, this happened, my cat got run over by a lawnmower, whatever it may be. Okay, you can tell your friend, get over it, but this is like they're constantly re-triggering this stress for something they can't do anything about. Right. You can do something about it. What, you're going to raise your army? Raise the Red Army? We're going to have 1917 again,
Well, that's what they're talking about now. Deny, depose, resist, I guess, is the new phrase. So, it's literally happening now where, they're talking about it on their Discord chats and things like that. Deny, defend, depose.
Well, that is.
So they're organizing. We talked about last time. We talked about that liquid, whatever what was it? The water stuff that people were taking to kill themselves.
You know what? Aqua Tofana. But yeah, the women murdering. But that's a great thing you just brought up, because really, what you can see one whatever, and I appreciate whatever he's doing mostly. But what's the blowback? Is it actually that effective? Number two, when you talk about actual kinetic level action, like we've seen in certain locations throughout the United States recently, you get this crowd with MS-13, with all these other things, and these people have weapons and they have tactics and they know what they're doing. Because this just came to me at this very moment, because I'm thinking these people, they're not going to fight a kinetic warfare. They're not going to fight a kinetic warfare. I mean, they'll do it to whatever extent they can. They'll get flattened if it's serious. But you bring in all these other things, activate all these cells, which we were talking about maybe happened in the fires in California.
Right.
There's some cells that are activated.
Yeah.
Cells are activated. But go ahead.
Well, if you look at this kind of weird transgender thing, it's almost like cellular violence. I don't know what their outlook is. This is group. I don't know if you've been following that, but it's kind of like on my social media. But they've like killed a border agent in Canada and a couple other people who have information against them. Yeah, so it's definitely a thing. But I think they're part of this kind of madness, this thing it's called a trans murder spree. It's kind of interesting because the guy who's covering them, kind of a more famous journalist, Andy No, covered Antifa. So it's kind of like this.
Oh, Andy No, man. He had to pay.
I think they broke his jaw.
No, I mean, he got multiple times he was attacked.
Yeah.
That poor guy. I mean, he really went out in the thing. I think he's part of the LBGT community too. Wow, he should be one of them. Well, this person said so. Liberalism is a mental illness. Well, what is even the meaning of the word liberal? Liberal education. Liberal comes from liberty. So let's be careful with isms and things that I came. My father's from California, from Long Beach, my, grandparents, everything, I have a family history out there, far left. I'll say it, Communist Party, whatever, not necessarily that, but I mean, totally connected with all that. But there was a different sense at that. I mean, at least whatever I got from that, is that, at least you're caring about workers' rights. It may be misguided, right? But not every single, capitalist endeavor is worthy of manifestation. I mean, my grandfather, who he literally stopped Rockefeller personally. He was a high school physics teacher. He had like this salon and stuff. So they have a park for him, Long Beach Harbor. He saved Long Beach Harbor from Rockefeller, and it happened. It's history. It's true. It's
kind of like a social space too. It's not just an economic space. There's a lot of restaurants and museums and statues and things like that, memorializing the Japanese who used to live down there too. Like they try to make it more culturally astute, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, but I'll say this, as soon as you get certain types, the basic viewpoint that a lot of people are part of is completely artificial. And whatever is called liberalism, because I think that's the wrong term for it, because we're going into, at least, okay, we can go through the historical definition because it is actually the shifting from whether, okay, at least, the trope is that the Republicans are the guys,
the capitalists
drinking 50-year-old scotch with the huge cigars, and then the Democrats are there with the man on the street helping the people. Okay, so that's the basic framing, And, and whatever, we can go through lots of nuances, what is what, but it became something very different, which you have this infiltration of very extreme ideologies that are coming from the radical left, coming from the radical, like, Ramsey, even, above Ramsey, but, the real doctrine of the new revolution. You can go back to the Frankfurt School, but this is kinetic, non-kinetic. By kinetic, I'm sure everyone knows what that means, but it just kinetic is
active, I guess, is a good synonym.
Use of actual physical force. But non-kinetic warfare is still warfare. I think we talked in the pre-show. I said that Putin sending making the announcement that the 2020 election was stolen is a type of non-kinetic information warfare. That is mimetic warfare on a really, it's amazing. Like, that's gorgeous to see that. Like, this is a deployment that changes a lot of things for Trump. You know what I mean? It's very important. It's, you know what I mean? Even though there's not a shot has been fired. Now, this is done I would say, in a better ramification, but there's a lot of things that are restructuring of society, reorganization, the whole DEI thing. Look at the accident in Washington, D.C. That's an example that is the payback of non-kinetic warfare. Okay, that's the payback of 5th generation warfare, where the flight attendant testing protocols were thrown out the window because they didn't have enough candidates of certain badge levels, merit badges, right? The merit badge, and I won't come up with my own.
I know what you mean.
Mr. Potato inversion of that.
They were understaffed by at least one. Like, that's a very intense job. Like, you have to be fully aware,
But I mean, there's been many, many, many near misses, crashes. I mean, this is serious. And people are dying. This thing in Washington, D.C., this is a nation's capital. You can't run your damn air traffic control right over the Potomac River. What is this? Is this Haiti?
This stuff it's not gonna wash out for a while either, too, which is really scary. Like, whoa, this is gonna be bad. But yeah, so this non-kinetic warfare 5th generation is real. This is definitely a video that I came across. It's just like, these people committed suicide, some had mental breakdowns, and it's just like, whoa. This goes into a broader thing of like almost social engineering and human character creation too, because this didn't exist in my generation. This is just some of the strangest stuff. I forgot the name of this journalist female,
but just to think about this, like, imagine that this goes back to, and this guy, if he's still out there listening, funny, but I remember I watched him, in the Super Bowl, and he's destroyed this it was in a university dorm. He's breaking windows, throwing he was a football player, huge guy, destroyed this because his team lost. He's but suicide. Okay, so you're having suicide over, this is essentially an abstract phenomena. Trump is not in your living room.
Yeah.
Trump is not, taking the fork out of your mouth. Trump is not, taking a piss on your garden gnome.
Right. I mean, what's the actual physical effect? It's something else.
It's totally I mean, it's one thing. Okay, you can be mentally unbalanced, whatever, but you're talking about suicide, murder, and like total mental. I mean, when they say liberal, when they have
that in the last show, the woman who killed her dad, right?
Yeah, but when these people have mental breakdowns because they're already pretty mental, to use the English term already, if they have a mental breakdown, they're like gone, man. They're just like, you know what I mean? Like, just this is not just like, oh, I'm depressed. When they suicide, I'm just saying, valence, that term, mental breakdown. This is not your meltdown at the Starbucks. This is where your brain is gone. You've just fried your neural circuitry, and you have put your personal consciousness out of this plane of existence.
Right. Like your rational being is gone. Like it's almost like totally you've lost your grip on reality. That's psychosis, right? Definitional psychosis. If you're gonna like you've lost your ability to relate to the external world. Listen to what some of these people. This is incredible. She's just letting him talk. This woman, I forgot. She has a Latin last name, Gonzalez or something.
Repercussions of Donald Trump being the 47th president ban.
I'm personally here because I had a mental breakdown after Donald Trump won. It's devastation. It's absolute, complete devastation to people's mental, emotional, physical, and psychological health. People are dying as a result of Trump being elected. There are people dying by suicide because they don't want to live in a country where their rights are not respected and them as people are not seen as people, but rather than objects of that should be eliminated.
It's a downward mental impact. It's not good.
My biggest worry right now, honestly, as a mother of a trans kid, I really worry about their rights. Like my sign says, our own Constitution only says all men are created equal, and I really wish that would change for the whole country.
I don't think the
Wait,
government
is it just, would you pause for a second? Was that person, it appeared to me the person walking in the parade was naked from the waist down. They were, I thought they're wearing flesh colored tights, but they're naked from the waist down.
Is that really true?
Look at it. See the guy with the red jacket? Do you see it?
Would change for the whole country.
I mean, or maybe they're.
It certainly looks like skin.
That's skin, man. That's skin. That is skin.
What a choice.
And I really wish that would change for the whole country.
Oh, wait, go back and just read the sign. Because these signs are interesting because this is also part. So this feed, right, is also part of this type of conditioning. So there's a lot of kind of subconscious things. So this, see, you don't even notice that.
Silence is betrayal. I will not stay silent.
Look what this man or woman who's not wearing pants. Okay, it's getting hot in here. But look at the front of the sign. Let's turn around.
Like my sign says, our own Constitution only says all men are created equal, and
what does it say?
I really wish that.
Here we go.
Oh, geez. Did you buy the dinner planet before you effed it?
Did you buy the planet dinner before you effed it?
What is it?
What is?
Oh, is that like a reference to Trump? I don't know. I guess
I don't know. Like there's some weird things here.
Yeah.
And notice the color combinations. I'm just saying, and then I had to mute my microphone just because of the comportment and the habitat. What do you say? Habitat. The dress style, like the lady, the unicorn angel. I mean, there's a level of comedy, but this is weird. There is something, like, you think about these people are on a certain frequency range. They've encoded themselves, and now they're in a perpetual treadmill, which is just very akin this is like a fast form of sort of the whole victim hierarchy. Right. So I'm a victim. Oh my God. And I'll be a victim right now. And you don't mind.
Right. So they're playing this kind of role. They're happy with this role, right?
I'll just take the role real quick, just hypothetically. Like, oh, I'm an oppressed white man. I'm a victim. I've been oppressed since the day I was born. It sucks. Okay. That's a victim role, right? This is like, that's like a whole identity, right? But this is like the fast burn. There's a lot of weird. This is weird. This is like an anomalous. You know what I mean? Because what came to my mind is, are some of these people actors that are generating the behavior in others? They're like by that lady who's dressed like an angel. She's very attractive, right? An attractive lady with weird, and notice, oops, knocked my lights down, but the rainbow colored. So these very specific colors of the rainbow and specific color frequencies. And they have the same kind of, it's like a neon thing, but she's there and she's saying, I know friends that have had mental breakdowns and committed suicide. She's also like an angel saying, go ahead and commit suicide. It's okay. In a certain way. So the reason I see that's not this naked person, it's subconscious. Your subconscious mind sees that. You didn't see it. What does that even say? Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But don't you think there's influencers that are engendering, that are creating this kind of environment?
Well, no, absolutely. Yeah. I'm saying that you put, it's like an influencer is a vector point in non-kinetic warfare. You look at a network, you're creating a type of a network or a collective.
It's like a formation. They're creating a mass formation to get the idea out all at the same time, right? Isn't that kind of like the fake kind of PR astroturf? Like this is a psychological PR astroturfing where all these people are saying, hey, this is a horrible event. This is a threat to the democracy or something like that. And so all these people get ramped up. All their kind of influenced by the influencers end up on these, going on these marches with these signs and stuff.
Well, these are, this is part of this whole how these things are dispersed, right? So initially someone comes up with an idea, then, which we may not get to this today, but you can go through a modeling. You go through a modeling, and there's lots of different directions we can go into this. I've got a bunch of scientific papers on this aspect, and you do computer modeling, you can do analysis with certain other life forms that also form into herds and swarms, and then you inject, maybe a lot of these influencers are 5, 10. I don't know how many. They're not on the top of the pyramid, that's for sure. But they are disseminating, and they are very extremely central vectors for this. Well, go ahead and keep playing it. But
but it's so important to understand how this formation comes in. It's like puppeteered behind the scenes where you don't see the ultimate string puller in a lot of ways. And I've seen this outside of this environment, like the TDS environment. There's other environments that I've seen in like Rogan, for example, or some of these other guys. That's a whole nother show. But there's some pretty heavy duty PR, dark like stuff, like scientific methodology of creating social change is incredible. So I think this is part of it. These people don't know they're in weaponized psychology. They don't understand. They're not aware. If they actually heard the terms weaponized psychology, they might actually snap out of it like they're in a hypnotic phase. Like they'd be like, you mean somebody's using weaponized psychology against me? What? I don't believe it. You know what I mean? They wouldn't believe it. But
well, one of the things is so there is, like I said, there's so many different directions. And one of them is also this group conformity, and then also the allowance, right? So you have, I watched this video. It's okay to have a mental breakdown.
Right.
She just said she had a mental breakdown. I'm going to have a mental breakdown too.
Yeah. We're going to all do it together.
And
it's like that group Scream, right, in San Francisco. Like we're all going to come out and scream together. Like, why did they go out of that famous picture of the woman who's screaming, Like, why did they all go out and do it together? It's because somebody's encouraging them to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, though, that it must be understood that this is, like, say in Russia, they have these like types of laments. They're these really not crazy, but I mean, very, these really intense vocal things, right? But they hire professional lamenters that do this. It imitates the deepest level of human grief. Okay. And so that's, this is, I touched on some like academic research there, but basically they hire these professional lamenters. If you hear this music, I mean, it's like, it's like almost the transcendence of grief and loss, right? But it allows everyone else to feel this. It opens the space so everyone can let their emotions out, right? Or else they can allow someone else to express their emotions. But then it makes it okay. And this is what these type of deranged behaviors are made okay. Like what we saw, like the guy that ripped his shirt. I mean, these people, I'm sure they all have jobs. I'm sure they actually have lives. They probably make a lot more money than I do, playing funk in the ghetto. Basically is what I do. I play funk guitar in the ghetto and do podcasts. Maybe other things I do too, but primarily that. I mean, what I'm saying is like, I'm sure they have careers and jobs. They're not getting fired.
No.
Insane displays.
They wouldn't do it if they got fired, right? They don't, only because their businesses or jobs allow for this stuff. Have you ever heard of primal scream therapy?
Oh, yes, I have. And that's really, this
It seems
ties,
to tie into it. Yeah.
and this ties into all, you know what, it just, I had done a bunch of research on it. There was a huge, um, you know, psychology movement. Wolfgang, it was Earhart.
He was one of them, but the head guy is in Santa Monica, the Primal Scream. I've been by his offices, but yeah, it was a big thing in the 60s.
But it's connected with it came out of the Gestalt.
Yeah, it was something
also.
like that. Yeah.
So it was Eckhart, whatever the guy's name.
I'll find out. I'll find out.
Yeah, but this the primal scream therapy, right? So there's a movement, but this was integrated into a lot of other psychology movements at the time. Yeah. So it became part of the, you know, the medicine,
yeah,
everything. Yeah, let's do it.
His name is Arthur Janov.
Okay,
and literally wrote the book The Primal Scream and runs the Primal Center in Santa Monica. But it's like this is his kind of thing. Like you scream it out publicly, right? You get in a group and are encouraged to let out your kind of like, you know, existential dread or whatever. Like this is the dude.
You know, and so what's interesting? No, it's not Wolfgang Eckhart. He's the guy connected with Hitler.
I think I know who you're talking about. His name was Werner Erhard.
Werner Erhard. But they used, as did Rajneesh's organization, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, what they took over that town in Oregon, and other, you know, the primal scream therapy was used as an inductive point for a lot of different groups, right? So because it's the same thing, exactly what I mentioned. In fact, going back to the Russian lament, they hired the professional lamenter, and you know, you could play some of that audio. I mean, if you want to hear it,
see if I can find it.
Is
it on YouTube?
Well, you know, let me look up some.
I'll
drop a link in there.
Okay, cool.
But no, I mean, it's not. Because I had to do this, I was doing this experiment and stuff, so I had to like listen to this particular lament like over and over again, and then we were doing like, you know, looking at people's brain waves and all this stuff, and so that's why it's kind of.
You could probably analogize this to like the old kind of priest or something walking through the cities with public lamentation, or you know, whipping themselves publicly or something, or. I mean, it's almost like the same kind of psychological process where you go on there's some kind of pull where you go on a parade and share your lamentation, right? Like almost something from a Monty Python skit, like guys in old kind of garb, like monk garbs, like, you know, whipping themselves or something. It feels the same way to me.
Yeah,
whatever the subject matter is.
Yeah, you know, I'll have to dig up something because what I have is actual recordings from villages, right? I just looked on YouTube. It's all whatever, you know, album, you know, and you know, some hot blonde, you know, ice skating, traditional lament. You know, there's nothing. But of course, it's very personal. But another analogy to that, which is came to mind. What was that last page you had lining up at?
It was the Primal Center. You want me to go back?
Oh yeah, go back to that. So before we move on, like another example of this, though. So, you know, we can look at. I was going to talk about Stanley Milgram, group conformity experiments, right. But another great example of this
conformity experiment.
Yeah. So yeah,
they're both the same. They're both the same.
Yeah. But was the 1960s with Frank Zappa, right? And the you know, all the freaks, it would come out and just show up at these clubs, right? And they created that mood. They allowed it. They generated it, right? You know, and is the guy.
FYI to the listeners, I have a show with Carl Hassel scheduled for the 18th of February. We're going to go into kind of like investigation into Zappa, like you and I did with the Dead. So keep an eye out for that, guys.
Yeah. Well, hey, bring me on for an episode if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to join us, that's fine too. Do you know much about Zappa?
Oh, dude, I was I saw Zappa. I was such a Zappa fanatic. I think I saw Zappa when I was 9 years or 10 years old. I made my dad take me to see Zappa.
The Central Scrutinizer. He was much more sophisticated, I think, maybe then a cursory evaluation would let you know.
Oh, no, well, my dad, he saw Zappa in I think it was 66 in the Bay Area. He's from, he saw him there. So he was talking about that, but I'm talking about Vito Palekis. So
right.
Vito Palekis. So all of that, the crazy dead dancing, they would go to the clubs and they would have attractive women, attractive men, and they would do their freak dancing with their freak clothes. They literally spread that virally. And by doing it, it's also, it's a type of, you could say, you look at mimetic warfare, you're doing this, and just like the person in that video who's not wearing any pants and any underwear either, right? It's subtle, but then it's also becomes permissible, and then it becomes attractive. But so Vito Palekis, but Zappa, man, Zappa is. I know quite a bit about Zappa, but also he has a lot of great, very interesting things.
He's a really brilliant guy, right? Super intelligent, like high IQ type character.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he was going to be in Czechoslovakia. He was going to be a minister, and then so he came out with that. I mean, now he did, what? Okay, I'm not, whatever, but Zappa was very interesting, and there's a lot, even in like the album Absolutely Free, and even Freak Out has a lot. The entire 60s is laid out. Who would know they would freak out in Minnesota? Who would know they would freak out in Boise City, Iowa, whatever.
Wow.
And
so they were deliberately doing it. Wow.
But the song, like this particular song, they go through all the different states and these different towns with these crazy tape delays and people yelling and screaming and freaking out. And that was also like a roadmap. This is when Ken Kesey was driving around. So this has not hit the mainstream mass consciousness yet. It was still in the inception phase.
Gestational stage or whatever.
Yep.
Paul, I think McGowan covers Palekis in Weird Scenes, if I remember. In detail, he has a couple of chapters or one chapter on him and his weird story, but obviously influential guy. But this guy, John Lennon, takes the primal scream therapy, 1970. Janov, I think, is still around.
You mind if I read this quote?
No.
This is a quote. I think it was Paul. Just go back up on the page you have. So, and this is, Janov with Lennon's own recollections. This is John Lennon. Quote, his, Arthur Janov's, thing is to feel the pain that's accumulated inside you ever since your childhood. I had to do it to really kill off all the religious myths. In the therapy, you really feel every painful moment of your life. It's excruciating. You are forced to realize that your pain, the kind that makes you wake up afraid with your heart pounding, is really yours and not the result of somebody up in the sky. It's the result of your parents and environment. As soon as I realized this, it all started to fall into place. This therapy forced me to have done with all that God shit. Most people channel their pain into God or masturbation or some dream of making it. It's facing up to reality instead of always looking for some kind of heaven. That doesn't. Okay, the end of quote. So that's not my words. That's John Lennon's words. So this is an initiatory rite, right? It's following the paradigm of a ritual initiation, where you enter in, you come out as a different person. Right. But whatever kind of therapy that is, that doesn't sound too pleasant, man. Don't sign me up, man.
It is initiatory. It's a good point, because you don't do this alone. You do this pain in front of everybody else. So there's a weird kind of bonding element to it.
But what is his takeaway? Is he's an atheist and a materialist, Marxist now? That's his takeaway.
Right. Yeah.
God is dead to me. Okay.
I see reality, so now I'm back to the five senses. That's it. Wow.
Well, if you have to look, how we just go back up. I'm sorry. This is like extremely interesting. You want to read that quote of John Lennon? Because this is awesome. You're bringing up John Lennon and how this he was one of these influencers, right? So think of John Lennon as an influencer.
Sure.
He's also being influenced very dramatically. And because of his power, position, wealth, authority, acclaim, status, everything,
They
legendary.
were really angering the Christian establishment all the way to 1980. Like there were battles and arguments and very public things. So Lennon was seen as this kind of the anti-Christian thing. It's interesting too, because they just played Imagine at Jimmy Carter's memorial. It's incredible. So he's playing this, I don't know who wrote it, but it was sung by Lennon, which is a full-on New World Order communist kind of view. You know, imagine there's no religion, whatever. So it's a weird place to play Imagine, and a very even weirder place with who played it, who was the musician, is Garth Brooks, which is all we were talking about.
Garth Brooks. There we go. Flipping genres. Read this next quote from Lennon. This one is mind-blowing.
Do you want to do There's No Way of Describing It, that one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. Here's the quote. There's no way of describing it. It all sounds so straight just talking about it. What actually you do is cry. Instead of penting up emotion or pain, feel it rather than putting it away for some rainy day. I think everybody's blocked. I haven't met anybody that isn't a complete blockage of pain from childhood, from birth on. It's like somewhere along the line we were switched off not to feel things, like, for instance, crying. Men crying and women being very girlish or whatever it is. Somewhere you have to switch into a role, and this therapy gives you back the switch, located and switch back into feeling just as a human being. Interesting term, switch. Not as a male or a female or as a famous person or not famous person. They switch you back to being a baby, and therefore you feel as a child does. But it's something we forget because there's so much pressure and pain and whatever it is that's life, everyday life, that we gradually switch off over the years. All the generation gap crap is that the older people are more dead as the years go by. The pain doesn't go away. The pain of living, you have to kill yourself to survive. This allows you to live and survive without killing yourself. That's from a Howard Smith radio interview in 1970.
This sounds extremely unpleasant. It sounds like switching. It sounds like you're being inducted into, it's like I use Microsoft Word on my computer, and maybe I know a few tweaks, some JavaScript thing, but I didn't write it. I'm not the programmer, but I have access to the program. But I'm using a program. In this case, he's being used by this program. And it's really, really, really dark because this is the core of this essence of I would call the traumatic, the victim identityhood. You know, it doesn't mean, pick up your balls. If you feel pain, you feel it. Stay in your present life as best as you can. You don't, what is this? It's all about him, right? It's just, I have my pain. Like what are you carrying all this? I'm sorry, I can rant on this. It's exact wrong way to look at life, period. If you see any pain, this is a message from above. I need to change something. Let me change it and I'll be happy. Ultimately, if you see it in that way, there is no more pain. There's an experience. There is a warning signals. But you don't have to, you're not carrying it. He's saying not only carry it, but completely go back to Ewan Cameron's state of personality erasure.
Right. It's almost like that. Yeah.
And then rebuild it. And then the pain of living, you have to kill yourself to survive. This is John Lennon, dude. What are you bitching about, man? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But
he had it all. I mean, he doesn't have any concerns, financial concerns, that's for sure.
But okay, he maybe has spiritual concerns, but he's also a major cultural figure. So his words, it's not even like, say, me talking to you. I don't know. I can say very positive things and give people positive input on their lives, or not. But if there's not 100 million people or multiple people across generations that are going to take my words and live by them. He had a major power and power to change society just through his very acts and speech.
Right.
So he is, this is a great analogy. He's almost saying it's okay to be just a complete wreck. I'm just pain. I have to scream and cry and be torn apart. But I'm blah, and there's no God, there's nothing. It's just me. That's what he's saying. And he's encouraging everybody to take that same.
All the religious myths are gone,
And he's like celebrating it.
Oh,
he's encouraging millions of people and people on the fence. He's not, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same sort of metaphor we were discussing. This is of course one aspect of this modeling, but so he is a person with a very powerful, probably a much greater powerful influence than most politicians in the world at that time. By far.
Yeah,
no
question about it. In the 70s, super influential. All the be-ins and sit-ins and sleep-ins and all that weird stuff he was doing with Leary. This ties in right into his whole imagine, right? Imagine there's no religion too, right? No heaven, no hell. People living for today. Crazy. Sharing all the world. Sharing all the world. It's like, these are like communistic kind of principles in a way. Incredible stuff. But I mean, we can bring it right back to all this kind of stuff, this kind of public expiation of internal pain. Right?
If I wanted politics in my vagina, I'd be a X'd out.
She's saying she would F a senator.
Oh, I'd F a senator. Yeah. I mean, is that so? Just to look at, say, a signage, right? So she's making a declamation. She looks pretty dialed in. She's not some weird, just have a bunch of piercings or tattoos. Not that it makes somebody weird, but she looks pretty dialed in. But you're walking around with that. Why? What are you saying by that? What are you conveying? What is the actual message? Is that like, I like your opinion, because to me, that's like an offense. I mean, you're not convincing me to your viewpoint. I think you're a slut by saying that. I mean, I'm saying what just comes to my mind. But it's anyways, go ahead. I'd like what does that mean? Why would you do that?
No, it's just here's the thing. This is the public kind of displays and groupthink and all that stuff, conformity. Strange.
I don't think the government has any place telling us what we can and can't do with our bodies, and
But how much how much of that is really true? How much have he's done? Maybe under COVID, I guess.
Uterus, no opinion. I definitely don't feel like women are treated equal in society, and I'm definitely worried about, the right to an abortion and birth control being taken away. But I also recognize that as, a white woman, I have a lot more privilege than a lot of women in this country, and there are other women that are facing a lot more of their rights being taken away, like trans women and women of color. So I come out here to support them as well and just try to keep.
I think that's a Planned Parenthood scarf too, right there. Right? Isn't that the double P of Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, it is. And so notice these, that's why I think there's something a little bit weird with some of these clips, is that this looks staged kind of, right? Like just like the naked, the lady or man with no pants on, this person just comes. So your basic attention is focused directly on the speaker and looking at the sign. So this is almost subliminal. But look at this person with the pink rabbit thing with the two horns.
That's the PUSSSY cat or whatever, right?
Yeah.
To grab him by the whatever hat.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah. If somebody's watching this, tell me who this woman is. I think she's associated with like a conservative news outlet.
Keep fighting the good fight for as long as we can until we can get our rights in the Constitution.
I literally broke down in tears, and several of my friends cried as well. It's scary. I mean,
this is the Handmaid's Tale outfit, right? So I don't know what her sign fully says. Politics out of my private parts.
Well, notice this lady's scarf. It looks like she has a bullet hole, like a bandage, right? The interviewer.
I don't know. I don't think that. I don't think that's intentional.
No. Well, you never know.
The girl on the right. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, no, because of that, there's like right at the temple, right? There's like, it looks like a bandage.
Yeah, weird.
Because some of this stuff could be, I mean, I think it looks to me like these are not, just random people on the street. These are almost, particular players that are brought into alignment, with the color, could just be serendipity. But to me, it looks like there's some, the scene is being set, you know what I mean? And there's different stuff like the Handmaid's Tale outfit is very, very telling.
Intense, very intense. Extreme, I would say.
Nurses and we are scared for our future. I think that the people that are in support of it are probably in support of it for the wrong reason. They want cheaper eggs and gas and milk.
It just was really difficult to wrap my head around the fact that half of my country didn't even think that women and transgender people and gay people and people of color should have basic rights.
And talk to me about that, to expand on that a little bit more for me. How are women not treated equally in society?
I mean, I think it's pretty just day to day, the way that men talk about women. And I mean, we've never had a female president. I think that kind of speaks for itself.
Now, can I ask you what you guys think of the march?
What do we think about the march?
Bunch of idiots and murderers.
So that's just interesting, right? Right from the horse's mouth, I guess. It was a woman's march. I don't know why. Where's the men? I don't know where they are, but they weren't there.
Wow. Yeah. We're oppressive. Well, I wonder if, this is maybe giving people a little bit of letting them off the hook. But I think, as I mentioned, there's multiple outlines for this. And the thing is that, look, I would posit that it's not that hard to even you can send subtle signals that you do this thing, you do that thing, and you can create networks of behavior, right? You promote, you get, like I said, we looked at Lenin as the primal scream therapy.
Right.
But let's go. We could just look at.
Wow, this is Rip Dog says Waylon Jennings was famous for saying Garth Brooks' whole career was astroturfed, and the only reason he got famous was powerful people behind the scenes pushing his career to mega star status. Well, that's surprising.
Well, I think he just if that's the case, he just ripped off his uniform and ripped off his costume by singing Imagine.
Right. He sang Imagine at a like kind of not really, it shouldn't be sung in a Christian church. I think it's like a non-denominational church where they held the services, but I'll have to double check. But he also had that Gaines character. I don't know if you know that, but he had that kind of like emo pop Gaines character. Do you remember that?
No, I missed that.
Oh yeah. So he had this kind of fake persona who was kind of more of a pop singer, but there was a picture of him, this fake it was Garth Brooks.
Really?
As this Gaines guy singing a song on top of a star of Ishtar. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding at all.
Well, there you go. So that's Garth's agenda.
Yeah, strange. Yeah. So just crazy stuff, man.
So we looked at sort of the endogenous, meaning happening within the human body, cortical release, adrenal stuff, and some of the psychological or just, observing it. So let's look at another aspect. If you want to go ahead through the slideshow.
Sure. Which slide should I go to?
I don't have it in front of me. Keep going.
5, 6.
Okay. Go back.
6.
Okay. So I think I close with this, right? But the one thing we cannot discount is how to. Now, imagine you have your engine primed, you have all the components together, you have, and you just need the starter flame, right? Or there's it's like a gas stove where you have your pilot light going. So what if we look at some of this cognitive warfare technology and techniques with someone who's already indoctrinated, that's already basically primed, right? They've already, going into that. I'll just read this. This is from a now deleted thing that was on the NATO website, Cornelius van de Claw. The reason why cognitive attacks go unnoticed by their targets is that cognitive activities bypass the conscious mind and directly target the subconscious of a person. Most of our decisions are made by our subconscious. And think about it. I mean, this is true, right? And you can't, this is one of the things like mindfulness. Okay. You can have awareness. Awareness is very important. I mean, awareness is central, and you can be embodied in your activities. But if there's something you know how to do, right? Like last night, I had my show. I can tear down my equipment. I made a game for myself some years back so I can like set up, there's like a bunch of big equipment. I could tear it down 7.5 minutes. I did it last night. I'm doing it relaxedly. The subconscious is what's making this happen so fast.
Right.
So this is what an athlete has, right? So it doesn't, but the basic thing is that the conscious reality people are in, they don't know why they're deciding to do this. They don't know why they're wearing the pussy hat. Maybe they do, but a certain way they don't really know. Right? What I'm saying, you could be directed to do something. For most decisions of the conscious mind, will supply a reason.
Right.
So okay. Anyways, continuing from the quote, cognitive attacks are not science fiction anymore. They're taking place right now. Neural nanotechnology can be used to bring nano-sized robots close to a neuron via the bloodstream and make it possible to link the human brain directly, i.e. not intercepted by our senses, to a computer, making use of artificial intelligence in the process, while other domains can provide tactical and operational victories. The human domain is the only domain in which we can secure a full victory, end quote. This is the human domain. So this is, and again, we just go to the next one.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a thesis, MA thesis from the Naval College. Neuro war is here. And I'll just, these are basically notes, or some of these are quotes from the dissertation, but neural weapons that specifically target the brain or central nervous system in order to affect the targeted person's mental state, mental capacity, and ultimately the person's behavior in a specific and predictable way. So notice this: specific and predictable. You're going to get a result you want. Okay. In year 2000, the European Parliament's Panel for the Future of Science and Technology, STOA, published a study on crowd control technologies, end quote, where it admitted that, quote, the most controversial non-lethal crowd control and anti-material technology proposed by the U.S. are so-called radio frequency or directed energy weapons that can allegedly manipulate human behavior in a variety of unusual ways. And this is from the MA thesis. That, okay, you can go the next slide, and then I'll let you. Okay, quote again from the slide. The greatest concern is with systems which can directly interact with the human nervous system. The research undertaken to date in both the US and in Russia can be divided into two related areas. One, individual mind control. Two, crowd control. This is me. The brain activity is changing according to changes in frequency and number of firings of neurons in the brain, and is accessible to any energy, which will produce in neurons electrical currents in the frequency of different activities of the human brain. So just, again, it's a little bit dense, but brain activity is frequency based, right? So our brain operates on specific frequencies. This is neural entrainment. Okay, this may be induced by extra long electromagnetic waves transmitted in natural frequencies of the human brain, or by microwaves pulsed in the brain frequencies, or possibly by energies discovered by quantum physics. Extra long electromagnetic waves will, due to their length, control the brain activity of masses of people. Well, pulsed microwaves can be used to target individual brains. So we have extra long frequencies, individual. I don't know. You can chime in.
I mean, isn't that what they're talking about? That whole Havana syndrome, is people are getting hit with these waves, and like they talked about them getting hit in like Russia and other places, and people were getting nailed with magnetic waves. I've heard this other story, and I mean, they definitely have crowd control microwaves. I've seen the trucks that have this. I mean, they exist. They were in Australia. So it's crazy that they're able to do that, you know?
Yeah. And so you have to see, though, that say even the Havana syndrome, which is, fully documented, et cetera. But this is like an extreme version, right? This is the poison in the full dose. It's not like the aqua tufana where you just administer it gradually over a month. You know what I mean? So, so you can do these type of directions, right? And notice this, I'll use a big word, polyvariate, multiple angles, psychological angle, the obsessive compulsive stress hormonal monkey cycle. You know what I mean? Because the people like that, seeking trouble on the internet, they're like the monkey, pressing the button, getting the treat. Right. They're literally on that reactive, basic behavioral conditioning, stimulus response conditioning. You have the influencers, you have the social, the whole generation of the social field. So that's why I said you have you have a gas stove and there's already a pilot light going. So that pilot light, you don't need that much of an extra long electromagnetic pulse. You can do a very subtle level. Other people may feel a little bit out of sorts or a little bit off or something or other, but the people that this is directed towards, that are already ready to go, boom, they're fired up with all these other signals. I mean, so you're literally creating the crowd is almost like a one big dog. You're walking the dog. I mean, potentially.
But yeah, I think we've just seen that crowd function just like that, all walking together, getting their kind of neuronal stimuli together, getting all whacked up and wound up, and adrenaline and all these other hormones. And it's probably like an addiction, just like being on Facebook, clicking on the like button, right? You get endorphins, you get some kind of like primal rush, right? So
yeah, well, I think the primal screen therapy, I think that was a great thing to bring up, though, too, because I mean, all of these things, there's they call it like sort of initiatory thresholds, right? That so you have, I do believe, I think that we do have, we have free will. I mean, we have the choice. And so, but there's always that sense, where you go, you cross one threshold, you cross the next threshold, you cross the next threshold. And then, again, with these unconscious behaviors, right? So they're working with unconscious behavior mechanisms, but, and no offense to any liberals listening or any my employers who are liberal, I apologize to you. I give you a big high five because I feel sorry for you. No, just kidding. Just, you can edit that. Oh, it's live. Okay. Not editing it, but really, like, there is this, people have entered into this conditioning matrix, which is literally an alternative reality. Like, a trans woman is not a man. A trans man is not a woman. Sorry. That's not factually correct. That is not true. It is not true. It is not, so they've entered into this sort of it's, I describe it as like the romper room for the toddlers, right? Let the toddlers freak out. I mean, so it's on, I mean, it's on a very low level, like I mean mine, like, John Lennon thing, but you see even this primal scream therapy, it's sort of got a sort of a narcissistic undertone. I think there's a strong current of this sort of narcissistic, not necessarily in the idea of the psychopathic narcissist, but narcissism is just, you're just consumed with yourself and this, that, and, women are oppressed. I mean, you think so in the United States right now? I mean, I think that's kind of a stretch, but anyway.
I think it's interesting. I think a lot of these kind of self-help things are there's an obsessions with the self involved with a lot of these stuff. So, which is, not such a bad thing, but I think people can get overly obsessed with these types of things. I've heard of a lot of people who've got injured from primal scream therapy, actually.
Really? Physically injured?
Well, not physically, but mentally. I know.
Oh, really?
A friend of my mom's, he went through this and he came out like a nervous wreck. Because you don't scream, the people scream at you too. That's what a lot of people don't know. Like some of these people are screaming stuff almost like Scientology, where they like scream all these horrible things at you to make you a nerd. That's my understanding, to a nerd, to criticism and things like that. So,
well, this is great you brought this up. I think this is, I think in one way, could be described as maybe one of the centers, right? This is sort of a, go just look at some of these book descriptions. I saw some of these are quite interesting. So the beyond belief. Beliefs are a way to rationalize with pain rooted deep in the unconscious and realize that love is a biological need. Well, I mean, your body loves you because your organism is not decomposing, right? You have your kidneys, you have your lungs, you have all the different. I mean, we're just we're literally walking biological miracles, right? You don't need to go that far to find a miracle. Like just the fact you have this amazing, in my opinion, anyways, amazing body. But look at this. Pain as far back as birth. These are quotes from his book. Okay. Understanding human behavior and how pain can become converted into an idea.
Right.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
But look at the next one. Life before birth, the hidden script that rules our lives.
This is getting opus. His opus magnum. Wow.
Opus, not even magnum opus.
Early trauma and adversity can have lifelong consequences, result in serious afflictions from cancer to diabetes. Events during pregnancy may be as important, if not more important, than genes in determining mental health and disease resistance in adulthood. Wow.
So, but I mean, hidden script. Now there is obviously now in reality, right? Of course, the childbirth process does create types of traumas, right? You know what I mean, in the human organism. But, to me, the hidden script, life before birth, it almost seems like he's talking about past lives too. You know what I mean? There's some kind of weird.
Right on the edge there.
Yeah.
That may be one of the interior studies. You never know. Like that may be what he reveals after you take, you get past the fourth class or whatever.
So the next one you can go back up. So he's talking about love. So I go back further. Sex and the subconscious. Yeah, perversions and diversions in the realm of libido. If you want to read this, but it says here, Dr. Janoff. Sorry, you may go down. Here, Dr. Janoff explores how trauma and lack of love stand in the way of millions of people as they try to experience sexual pleasure in life. Try to experience sexual pleasure. Okay. And then so sexual problems, or to put it differently, sex is life at its essence. We had better be sexual. Okay. Repression, sexual indifference. But it sounds like there's a whole free love aspect, right? So you're letting this pain and all beliefs are gone. Everything's just material. And then let's just go and
let's
go at it. Yeah, I'm sure.
Who knows what happens in these places, man? I don't know. The 60s was pretty wild. Like this could be like some kind of introductory stuff. Who knows? Biology of Love, Prometheus books. That's always kind of scary whenever you see Prometheus books. Prometheus is like the symbol of Lucifer, right? So that's never good. Imprints, lifelong effects of the birth experience. Prisoners of pain. Primal man. Feeling child. See, it's all primal.
Well, and I shouldn't. Well, I'll do it for you. There's
Primal Scream sold 1 million copies. That's huge.
1 million copies, and John Lennon helped push that a lot. He should have gotten.
He should have got some payment, huh?
Well, there's a lot of these therapies, right? So if you're just constantly, it's like you got a wound in your arm, and it's like, oh, I got a wound. Oh, how does it feel? It sucks. Okay, let's stick a knife in it, see what it's like. Oh, it hurts. Oh, and it's not healing. Stick a knife in it again. That's what they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
it's an obsession on the pain, right? It's not minimizing the pain, but like you're totally like focused in on it. Aren't you painful? It's like almost like the suggestion,
And my pain
is bigger than pain in your life, Hans.
My pain is bigger than yours. My victimhood is bigger than yours, right?
Right.
So,
right. It's almost like the same thing. Aren't you a victim? Aren't you oppressed? Who's privileged? I don't know. You see these same terms bandied about. Like it's curious. Like I've never seen some of the discourse like of what's happening now ever in my life. But
yeah. Well, so anyways, I can I know we gotta
kind of wrap it up. I got a hard stop at 5. I kind of
okay, so you got how much time? We do like 15
5-10 minutes, maybe
5-10 minutes. Okay. So this is a whole nother okay, I guess I won't do that. So there's a whole nother topic of how, one of the important research vectors in this is looking at insects. They call the morphogenic field, collective behavior of insects and animals. Go ahead and just skim through the slides to see the next one is.
We can just do a part 3 if we got enough to do it after. I mean, we've got enough to do another episode. We can just wrap it up.
Okay. Yeah, I always have
tells me by the next 2 weeks from now we'll have more material. Like just by scanning my social media, it's be like crazy.
William, do you have any videos, like any great Trump freak out things?
I've got some more.
Play. Let's just close with that.
Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can find one. Let me get my stuff go. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I mean, we already did the ultimate one, right? That was it.
Oh gosh. I mean,
just some of these guys, like there's like some of these guys involved in the lawfare are really kind of like, I have videos of them. Like they're really ramping up. Like they're gonna fight in the streets, man. It's not a joke.
Well, you've got the trained and armed people that know how to fight and they're ruthless. These people are hardcore. Some of these guys, I mean, they're beyond hardcore, man.
Yeah, they are.
They're more hardcore like special forces, man, and they're also like MS-13. I mean, they're hardcore satanic, also.
Some of them are definitely like that. They're like this kind of like imagine, there's no religious myths, all that stuff. Their religion is, whatever, like socialism or something like that.
Well, no, but see, the Church of Satan says it's not a religion, right? It's just a type of egotism.
Well, there
right?
you go.
And it's basically like a kind of a watered down Nietzsche on the surface. And this is an example of these inductionary processes, right? And then again, this if someone does it phenomena, whatever, like, and so I think that's very important. And in fact, like the lady dressed like an angel in that last video said, many people committed suicide. So again, as already stated, but she looks like an angel. And if she's got the rainbow bandana, so she's saying it's okay to commit suicide. Wow, you're going to be such a martyr for the cause.
Crazy.
Right?
The cause is everything. There were people in the communist revolution, like they were going to get killed for Stalin or getting purged, and they're like, but will the revolution continue? That was what they really cared about. They didn't even care about dying for the revolution or being caught up in the gyre of the bloodbath. They're like, this must continue. Like they really staked their whole existence on it. like, whoa, wow, and I think that's a warning to anybody of any political stripe, really. Honestly, I don't care what part of the spectrum or how you define yourself, but really, is this whole thing like you're putting all in on that? Hans, where can people find your stuff? I know you've been working on your podcast some more, so you'll have some new episodes. Right?
Yeah, I've got it. I'm on Twitter now. I'm also on Instagram, and I'm on. I set up some channels on Odyssey, etc. So I just have EWO Hans. If you just put like Hans Utter Investigates or Hans Investigates, should come up. So the Twitter thing, I'll send you a link. And
I'll put it in the show notes so people can check out, follow you. I know you've been working with some, people I know, so I know that there'll be new episodes.
Yeah.
And then your website is it's hansuter.com, right?
Yes, exactly. Hansutter.com. And I'll have either I'll get my web people out of their labor strike.
The stories I hear about people and websites are incredible. Man.
I'm on a payment strike. They're on a labor strike.
No,
so
I had a guy, somebody ran off with his passwords and won't let him back in, almost like a sabotage. Like he won't let him back into his own website. Somebody he hired. Like, it's a true story. Like, that's crazy. Who would have expected that? He's probably like, I never expect that to happen. I said, I'd never have heard that happening. But anyway, hansuter.com. I'll put the Twitter in. This is part 2 of a series we're calling the Trump Derangement Syndrome, Psychopolitics, and the Mass Mind. There's a light there. These psychopolitics, we can just flip this and do MAGA. We can do the MAGA thing over and over, like what MAGA really believes and how they have willful blindness on certain things, in my opinion.
Well, the thing is that this type of modeling, right? So
right.
Once you understand sort of the modeling,
you just lay it out, right?
And the vector points, or because in a certain way, I think this should be viewed as the reason I brought up warfare, right? It used to be seen as a type of warfare. Okay, it's not. It's
almost like the symbols are different, but the concepts are the same. They're still going through the same thing. So everybody MAGA. You got your red hat. You're wearing MAGA. You are all together. You're, the same. I mean, you can almost invert it. The same kind of marches, the same external things, the same kind of modeling of similar thought modification and synonymous thought patterns and stuff like that. Like it's not. If you take an objective look and look past these kind of external symbols, you see a lot of similarities. So I think that's a warning to anybody out there. But
okay,
that'll be another show.
Yeah, we can leave it there, and I'll, it is, like I said, the interesting thing is we can kind of watch it in real time.
Yeah.
And it's very vigorous. Okay, like
it is very vigorous. That's a good word.
You couldn't Black Lives Matter. You could say it's an example. You can kind of do it, but this is a lot more in your face, I think, even than that. For example,
and
it's really
super intense. I think it's very important to realize. It's just like the whole thing you say. Like, you have to recognize the phenomenon happening to like be inoculated against it. You have to kind of go, somebody's encouraging this. There's some kind of influencer putting it out, whether you're on the right. Like, there's a MAGA circles that are very intense, that have huge followings, that are clearly in lockstep, putting out the new concept for the day. So it's almost like a thought control box or something like that.
And if you look at, again, I mean, obviously there's huge millions of people. Many of them there's huge human trafficking rings, trafficking of children. We all know about this, but like, what's he doing? He does some dramatic stuff. And then recently a plane was, I think it was yesterday or today, a plane was not allowed to land in Mexico. Now there's like a blowback, there's a pushback. So it's like, how many people have actually been deported, and how much of this is creating a cause célèbre? Like, it's creating, it's like the Reichstag fire or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
hopefully not, man.
I don't know. I hope we don't get to that, but I gotta go.
All right, William.
Until next time. Thanks so much. I'll send you the audio and the video when we're done.
All right, William. All right, man.
Peace.
Peace.
See you later.